Hey, what's the worst of the worst area around here? Like, where's the area that I gotta worry about getting shot?
Oh, that's on Avenue D here.
Avenue D. The worst of the worst?
Yep. Avenue D and 17th Street.
I'm in Avenue D and 17th Street.
Yeah.
Not this one either. Man, I gotta go back. That backyard's nuts. Hey man, I make YouTube videos and I cut lawns completely free. I saw your backyard's a little overgrown. I'd love to cut it. Would you be okay with that?
Yeah, sure. I'll be totally cool with that. Thanks.
Alright man, thank you. Alright, cool. So he talked to me over the camera on the house, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut the yard. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Look at this. Like my buddy Al says, it's a good old mullet yard. Short in the front, long in the back. And boy, is it long. Some of this stuff, the seed pods are well over head height. Now don't get me wrong, I know you guys think I'm tall on the camera. I'm really like 5'2". No, I'm kidding. I'm like 5'6" to 8". Who knows? Depends on the day and how good my back feels. We are in the craziest, sketchiest parts of Fort Pierce that I could find. I stopped and asked somebody and said, hey, what's the worst of the worst areas of Fort Pierce that I can be in? He said, this is the place you want to be. So that's where I drove. I figured in the worst areas, that's probably the place where people need the most help. Enough said, let's go ahead and get to it. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm down in Florida and I'm going to be cutting some wild grass. But before I do, we need to get some of this refuse and trash and debris out of the property so that we don't hit it with the mower. Now, this is normally a section that I cut out of my videos because I think it's kind of boring. But there are also a lot of comment section professionals that like to say, you know, I should be picking up the stuff out of there and that I'm not a professional because I didn't pick the stuff up out of there. I want to let you guys know that sometimes you don't see everything. You know, like, see, the camera's a small window into the reality of what I'm doing on a project. And you see a small scope of the work. Typically the angle that I want you to see. Right now you're seeing the mower going back and forth. Ooh, that's nice. And now you're going to see the mower going in the other direction. Ooh, that's nice. Alright, obviously I'm just joking. Alright, anyways, there's regional differences between Oklahoma and Florida. And it's really kind of cool because you know, I was picking up that trash, and the reason why I'm talking about these regional differences is if you look across the street, you can see two big piles of tree limbs. Now, I did not cut those tree limbs, but what's cool about the trash and refuse and stuff like that that falls on the property here in Florida is that the city will actually come along and pick that stuff up. And I think that's, you know, really interesting. Obviously something Florida would need because they have tropical storms all the time. Now, here in Oklahoma, what would make it the difference is in Oklahoma we would actually have to pick that stuff up. So you'll see a lot more mower only setups in Florida, and then you do see setups where there's guys with commercial properties. They'll have you know, they'll have dump trailers and stuff with them, but I noticed there were a lot more mower only setups, kind of like what Al's rocking. So this setup, by the way, that I'm using right now, this is my buddy Al down in Florida. If you've seen his channel, Al Blades. Big shout out to him for letting me use his equipment last February when I was down there. He called me up and he said, hey man, I've got this really crazy property. I think it'd be fun to collab with you. You want to come down and we'll cut it? So we booked some airplane tickets, and I jumped on a plane with my wife and daughter, went down to Florida. It was our first visit to Florida, and it's an amazing place. It's completely different. It's like another world down there. You know, they got crazy variety of plants that are growing, everything flowers. You got lizards that are climbing all over the walls down there. And it was just a really fun experience. While we were there, I took my wife and daughter to the beach, and I got to see the Atlantic Ocean for the first time. Before that, I'd only seen the Gulf, which, you know, people tell you the Gulf's not the same as the ocean. I think it's pretty much the same, but it was really, really cool. You know, the beach was different. You know, you got beautiful white sands there, and it's just an experience. You know, there's a reason why so many people want to go to Florida, and it's because it's a beautiful place. And one of the things I noticed is the grass is different. Like I'm cutting Johnson grass right now, but see, in February in Oklahoma, that would be laying down on the ground. More than likely, it snowed once or twice. We got a lot of rain and wind, and what's going to happen is all that grass would lay down to the ground, and it wouldn't get that tall again until like June. So, in Florida, that never happens. It just keeps growing year round. So it'll get tall, and then it'll go dormant and brown out, and then new grass will just grow through it, and it just stays tall, which makes it kind of difficult to cut down. Like if you had a regular homeowner push mower, there's absolutely no way you would have been able to cut this lawn. It would not have worked. And I guess if you would have struggled through it, it would have taken you days. So doing this property was actually a real big blessing for the person that lived there, and definitely something that saved him some money. Paying any professional to come in and do this type of stuff is not cheap, because it puts a lot of wear and tear on your equipment. So there's that. Now, before I forget about it, one of the other really, really cool things about Florida that I loved there was that they had pepper trees that grow there. That's what they call them. Now, it's like a scrub tree. Down here we have a plant called privet that's similar. It's one of the plants that just grows wild everywhere. Well, down there it's a pepper tree, and when you cut it, it smells like fresh ground black pepper, like the big peppercorns, and it's just really, really cool because it smells like good cooking down there when you're working on these properties. Not all of it, but definitely when you're messing with those pepper trees. Now, as far as the equipment we're using today, Al has a 52-inch stand-on mower here. This is a really, really cool machine. It seemed to cut real well. It's kind of has this low stance, so you feel like you're real, real low to the ground, versus some of the other stand-ons I've used where you feel a little higher up. I don't know which one I like better. I think I like feeling a little higher up, but I do like the wider platform that it has to stand on his. So, like the 36-inch mower that I have has a more of a narrow platform, which makes sense because your feet are between the wheels, right? So it's a little more narrow where I'm actually standing on it, versus his has a wider platform. It's a little more comfortable. And then he's also running run flat tires on the back here. They call those twills. Those are pretty cool. Now, I don't have those on my machine, but that would be a big plus, especially doing properties like this, because you're going to run into nails. You're going to run into different things that are going to give you flat tires throughout the year. So, something like that on his machine, he never has to worry about having a flat tire. Now, I will say I was working on another property, and I did get stuck using those because they have real sandy soil down there. And he said he gets stuck quite a bit. Now, I don't know if that's because of the tire or if it's because his machine is real, real low profile. And I mean, it is almost dragging the ground. And then on top of that, they have super sandy soil there. So it's not even soil, it's sand, okay? Let's be honest. They call it soil there, it's sand. But, if you get in a spot that's just sand, your tire's going to sink in pretty quick, which happens quite a bit there because on a property like this, you have this larger growth that's growing up, and what happens is it'll actually kill out all the grass around it because it's shading out the ground. So what ends up happening is when you cut it, you have like a clump of grass here, and then like 8 inches away you have a clump of grass, and then like 12 inches from that you have a clump of grass, and then there's 6 to 8 inches you have another clump of grass. But you end up with a lot of empty space in between where the sand would dig up and cause you to get, if you got caught up on something, would cause you to get stuck. Now, when I'm coming through this section, there's actually quite a bit of debris. Like right here, watch what I'm doing, and you'll see me go over. There's actually some, looks like 2x6s or something down there. And this is what I was talking about with trash and waste and refuse in the area from hurricanes. That's really, really common. You'll see that on a lot of properties and a lot of projects like this. Now, because I am in a different state, I decided not to pick that stuff up here. I don't know what the risk is with snakes and stuff like that there. I'm not familiar with the type of animals they have in Florida. It's a different world for me at this point, right? Now, later in the year, when I come back, you'll see the video that I did in July. That's actually coming up. I'm a little more comfortable. I'm not as worried about it. So, you'll see that. You'll see that come through in the videos. I start doing what I do in Oklahoma. I just grab it, whatever. Something bites me, it'll be all right. But that's all stuff that is different with regional stuff. Anyways, at this point, I'm trying to clean up the grass, and I made a big mistake here. So I cut the grass at a taller height, and that's great for getting it down. And then I tried to take the grass down a little lower so I can clean it up, because that's what we do in Tulsa, and that's just not happening. It's not happening. We got the growth from, like I said, last year, plus the growth from this year, and it's the grass, it just isn't cleaning up the same way it would in Oklahoma. Now, if I was there for a week or so messing with this type of stuff, I would be able to get familiar with it, and I would learn a way that I could clean it up with the mower and make it a little easier. But more than likely, something like this, you probably want to rake up anyways and haul it away. Or in this case, you could push it towards the fence line or towards this empty lot over there. That's really whatever. And that's kind of what I'm doing right now, is just trying to spread it out. If I can spread it out, then I can clean it up using the mower by finally dispersing it. But the thing is, the grass blades are so thick and wide, and they were, when it's a grass type that holds a lot of moisture, they don't shred up as easy with the mower blades. So that's something I was contending with. But overall, I think it came out all right. So I'm not disappointed with the mowing. The machine itself handled it really well, although right here, I did bog down the machine and kill it. But I did run over a massive amount of grass there with the deck on a lower height. It wasn't able to actually consume it and process it through. Most mowers are going to be about like that. All in all, I think it handled itself really well. I don't think I bogged it down to the point of killing it while I was actually cutting any of the stuff that was tall. It was just when I was trying to clean up this grass back here. Like I said, I'm trying to disperse it, but it's just not going anywhere. I'm just moving it from one spot to the next. It's not shredding any finer or anything like that. It's kind of waste of my time. All right, the whole time I was mowing the lawn, I was trying to figure out what am I gonna do with this crazy nonsense over here. So we got like metal here, and the grass is growing through it, which, you know, anything about grass growing through stuff and trying to move it, it's almost impossible. And then we got like metal and cinder blocks and old wood and lumber and trash and tires. Yeah, look, there's more brush piled up here. And then I was thinking about cutting these trees, but then they got trash and limbs and stuff just piled up here, and it looks like that's the church's property over there. It looks like they're dumping it here on that property. Anyway, so all that said, this is rattlesnake country, and I think what I'm gonna do is just smack down the grass the best I can, weed eat the front, make it look good, make the front look as good as possible, get this as good as I can, but this is just gonna overgrow unless I keep spraying it with chemical or something. So I think that's the best approach on this one. I'm out of my element. This is a new area. Maybe if I was at home, I'd drag it out. I don't know. At home, I don't have to worry about rattlesnakes. So, I mean, they say they're there. I've never seen them. So what's left? I need to do all the trimming around the house and this little tree. This thing's seen better days. The bottom's green, the top's not. Looks like it's mostly dead up there. Poor thing. Hey, but it's living in Florida, so it's living the best life. All right, now up here, same thing. We got just nonsense, the whole fence line all the way around, even up into here. See, yeah, I'm telling you, the church is just like, put it in the fence line. So that is what it is. I'm gonna go ahead and do all the trimming. We'll get on to the next one. We'll see how many we can knock out while we're here. Really, you can only fit a few of these crazy ones in a day, especially when you're filming, because it takes longer. Let's go ahead and get to it. All right, on to the next part here. We're going to be doing some trimming. Some people call it weed eating. It doesn't really matter to me what you call it, but I will say some lawn care guys get pretty worked up about what you call it. Whippersnippering, string trimming, weed eating. I call it weed eating, but it's whatever. A lot of people ask me what I enjoy doing most when I'm doing these projects, whether it's weed eating, mowing, using a blower, you know, really it all comes down to the project. So something like this, the mowing was kind of cool. Really, being this is like one of the first ones I did down here in Florida. It's all different and unique, and I'm just trying to figure it out myself. But I will say with the string trimming, there's so much debris and weird sticks and growth, and the string trimming isn't so much a finesse thing down there as it is just a hack and slash. And the reason why I like string trimming is the finesse of it. You know, I'm really good at doing it, and I enjoy string trimming. So I enjoy it because of the finesse of it. Like, I like to use the string trimmer as an edger to edge up concrete, flower bed borders, different things like that. Like on top of this little, you know, I don't know, landscape timber. It's a railroad tie. On top of that, I would, you know, clean that grass up, and then over here on this valve box, I'm cleaning up and using it as an edger. See, I like doing the finesse. I like doing the polishing. I think that, to me, when somebody is good at string trimming, you can really, their skill for the lawn care business really shines out. But, you know, it really all depends. I guess that's a regional thing. Down here, like I said, it's more hack and slash. The grass types aren't as nice as what I've seen, although they do have some nice grass. They got St. Augustine. Some people love it. It's a thick grass. It looks pretty in the lawn, but also it looks like our Dallas grass in Oklahoma or crabgrass. So the same type of blades. It grows a little different, but it looks the same, okay? Which aren't like really nice grass in our areas. That's the grass you don't want growing in our areas. But in Florida, that's the nice grass. So it's interesting. It's different. It does look like a nice turf down there when it is pretty well kept. But anyways, yeah, string trimming is one of my favorites. I do enjoy the mowing on some of these crazy lawns because it's different and it's unique. And I also enjoy mowing when I get to do things like striping a property, which is something I don't get to do often for our channel. But you know, when you're further up north, which I'll probably travel up north in the next year or so, going up north, you got a lot of cool season grasses. You got fescues and ryegrasses and stuff like that that'll actually they stripe and they look more like a baseball field, and that's enjoyable with the mowing there. And as far as using the blower during leaf season, I love to use the blower. I really enjoy that. And leaf season's cool because it's got like this instant gratification with cleaning up a property. Now, as far as the trimmer, it looks like Al uses a steel trimmer. I use Echo. Is there any difference? Not really. They're both pretty good pieces of equipment. He's using the Echo speed feed head on this trimmer, which is the same trimmer head I like. Although when it gets worn out, the spring on there doesn't compress right, and so you, instead of being able to bump it on the ground and get string out, you struggle with it like I am right here. And I actually go around the corner to find a rock or a piece of wood so that I can bounce that string out and actually have it to the cutting length that I need. I don't know what string he's using here. I think it was a green line. It's doing all right. It's not bad. As far as string goes, you know, people ask me what weed eater string I like best. Really, it comes down to personal preference and whatever you like best. Move that piece of trash out of the way, and I'll come back to get that later. Also, you'll see some grass up against the wall. It actually is like a 1-inch round little sucker trees that were growing up against the house. I come back and hand prune that stuff out later as well. Anyways, yeah, the trimmer itself is really pretty good. He's using green touch racks on his setup as well. I have those on my truck. I got those to try them out. They're okay. I like that they're lockable, and I like that you can get them out pretty quick. The downside is you have to put them in a certain way, and it's kind of annoying. Versus like the racks that I had on my trailer before, where you could just toss the thing in there and then I lock it with a padlock up top, which is really nice. Yeah, but yeah, you can see right here there's really no need to edge up against the sidewalk. It's almost like they call it a 45, where you just angle the string a little bit so that it's dragging across the concrete as well, and you don't really have to edge that way. It just, you know, but if it was nicer grass, you would need to edge. So, or if it was down here, we have Dallas grass and crabgrass, which you'll have to edge as well because they're creeping type grass. I didn't notice a lot of creeping type grass when I was there. Most everything just grew straight up, which is a big plus. Creeping grass is not a really enjoyable thing to work with, although we have Bermuda in Oklahoma, and Bermuda, other places look at it as a weed, kind of like I look at their St. Augustine as a weed. Other places look at Bermuda as a weed, but it is the far superior turf type grass. Okay, fescue's beautiful. Fescue looks great. It's nice to walk on. But if you want a turf type that can handle wear and tear and abuse, Bermuda is it. And when it's cut right, it's soft to walk on too. However, it likes to creep into flower beds, and that's a nightmare. So when it comes to that, that's a pain. So they all have their ups and downs when it comes to that. And as far as equipment to use, they all have their ups and downs. You know, I can't tell you which trimmer's better than the other. I can tell you I'm not an electric trimmer kind of guy. I've used some, but for the type of work that I do, electric trimmers are not up to par. Now, if you're a homeowner and you want to have an electric trimmer, it's probably going to be fine. You'll be able to have time to actually charge your battery and go back and forth and stuff. But in a commercial setting, I don't think that the electric equipment is really up to par, although they're pushing it really heavy. Because, you know, environmentally friendly is what they're going for, right? Zero emissions. However, there are large holes in large sections of the world. There are large holes where there are people slaving away, working around carcinogens and different stuff that's going to kill them at a young age for this battery and the battery still has to be charged, which is typically done with a power plant that is using natural gas or coal. So yeah, I mean, is it better? I don't know, but what I do know is a gas engine on a weed eater is far superior than a battery. You're going to have more power, and you don't have to worry about running out of fuel. I can just gas it right back up. With the battery, I'm going to have more batteries, and guess what? Those batteries are expensive, and they take a while to charge, and that is super annoying. When it comes to a commercial setting, you need to be able to work consistently throughout the day, all day, every day. Battery operated stuff isn't up to par for me. Now, however, I have used a battery operated chainsaw, and I was very impressed with the runtime. Now, the difference between a chainsaw and a weed eater is the weed eater, you're going to run that pretty wide open for a pretty long duration of the day. A chainsaw, you make a cut and then you let off the trigger. You make a cut and you let off the trigger. So that battery isn't running as long. I was pretty impressed with the battery operated chainsaw. I'm sure I would be impressed with battery operated hedge trimmers. But as far as a weed eater goes, I'm not seeing it. But if you're a homeowner, like I said, and you got time to wait on a battery, it might be perfect for you. All right, I'm watching those birds out there. Those birds are swooping in, boom, grabbing little lizards. And this is just crazy. I ended up seeing some rats back here while I was mowing. This lawn really came out looking pretty sharp. Now I know we can't do much with the fence line back there. Now, this one's really just about knocking the grass down and getting it to where they can manage it again. So I got a push mower, but I can tell you right now, there is no way they would have push mowed this. So we came in, saved them some money, had some fun. I'm in Florida. I'm gonna tell you something right now. I believe that if you say things, you can make them happen. I believe that if you set goals, you can make them happen. And I believe, and I know for a fact, I'm gonna cut lawns all around the world. This year, I'm taking a 10-state tour. Florida's gonna be one of them, so I'll be back and I'll let you guys know more in the future about where I'm gonna be and when I'm gonna be there. That way I can do a meetup in each state. If you guys do wanna meet up with me, I'm probably gonna need you guys' help, so stay tuned on the community page, because I'm gonna be like, hey, I'm coming to blah 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 city, let me know the best one. If I end up using the yard that you let me know about, I'll send you $100. So all that said, I'm gonna jump out of here. You guys have a good one. Thank you so much for watching. Remember that if you leave a comment, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It really helps boost it, push it out to more people, so YouTube knows you enjoy it. They'll put it to more people that'll enjoy it. You guys have a great day. Admit it, some of you guys would be way too nervous to even knock on a door that has a no trespassing sign. Hey man, I just want to let you know I'm all wrapped up. No problem, man. I think you let me work on the property today. You have a good one. Yeah, no problem, man. It's kind of weird talking to a camera. I mean, talking to you, but I mean talking to a security camera.